truly delighted to be amongst all of you in Chennai. I didn't realize that as Commerce Minister I'm coming for the first time. I somehow always looked at Chennai as if it's my second home and I used to come here so often. I think COVID kept us apart, but my heart was always with you. My good friend, the captain of the team, President of FIO, Dr. Saktivel, somebody who stood like a rock in every effort we have done to take the country forward to increase our international trade. I think Saktivel deserves a standing ovation from everybody. My brother and somebody I see as a very dynamic, very well-meaning, very sincere leader of Tamil Nadu, the future of Tamil Nadu, Shri Annamalaiji, the president of BJP. And look, I was boxed in between two police officers' families. That's why I was being super active. I made notes of every point that you all said. Otherwise, I was very scared between the two of them. Shri Parthiban, the Principal Commissioner GST, Tamil Nadu, Dr. Shanmuga Sundaram, DC SEZ, Shri Habib Hussain, the Chairman FIO Southern Region, Dr. Wallalar, Commissioner Textiles, all the distinguished friends of the international trade in India, the exporters principally of a variety of goods and services from across Tamil Nadu, friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This has been one of my most engaging, thought-provoking and informative engagements with exporters anywhere in the country. I really thank you for all the insightful comments each one of you made. It's a Sunday. We are indeed privileged that you could spare your time to be with us on Sunday afternoon. And the very, very interesting points that each one of you have made, I have tried to cover all the points that you have made in my notes. My colleagues are also making notes of all these points. While I can respond to all of them, I will try to give a general overview on the points that were made so that we can hopefully go for lunch. We are already running, I think, about an hour late in terms of my next program. I have to go to IIT Chennai from here. Or is it still IIT Madras? What is it? It's still IIT Madras. Apologies, I realized that just now. So I have to go to IIT Madras from here, and I'll just try to give a general sense. I won't get into all the details that Tamil Nadu is the second highest in terms of GDP, very high number of factories here, very big contribution to the textile sector, a huge seafood contribution to marine exports, wonderful work on leather. I mean, each one of you, auto components, the services exports, software, the gem and jewelry. I mean, there's so much and more happening in Tamil Nadu. And we are really very, very proud of your contribution to nation building, to the nation's foreign exchange earnings, to developing the country. A lot of excellence in different parts of Tamil Nadu, whether it is Tirupur and Coimbatore or Madurai or Ambur or Karur or Thoothukudi, across the state, we can see wonderful things happening in Tamil Nadu. But as Shri APJ, Dr. APJ Kalam, we actually celebrated his birthday yesterday. As he had rightfully said, and I will quote, small aim is a crime. I will work and sweat for a great vision, the vision of transforming into a developed nation. And I think that's the collective vision that Prime Minister Modi and all of us in this room are collectively working for, with a spirit of duty towards the nation and our duty to 130 crore Indians to make India a prosperous nation, a developed nation. And I thank each one of you, all the persons working in your companies, for the tremendous contribution they are making, not only to make India a $5 trillion economy in the next 3 years or so, but as we progress in the Amrit Kal, the next 25 years till we become India at 2047, our centenary celebration of independence, where we want to see, where we are confident of seeing a nation which is over $30 trillion economy. And exports will have to play a very important role. We are targeting that we should at least have a 25% export in that $30 trillion economy. And therefore, we have set intermediate goals, and by 2030, I see services and merchandise or goods converging to $1 trillion each. 8 years, 2022, we were 675 billion. 2030, which is 8 years, we wish to see a 3x performance so that we can be a 2 trillion export economy, 1 trillion of goods, which will mean it translates to about 11 or 12% CAGR on merchandise goods export and about 18-19% CAGR on services export, both of which are quite conservative. Both are doable. Both can be achieved. And then I have leaders like Saktivel, like Akhil Ahmed and all the other distinguished persons who spoke today. I have no doubt in my mind that not only will we achieve this, but we will exceed this by 2030. Friends, 21 speakers gave me inputs today. I am not counting the DC. 21 is a good number. You would all agree? And I don't know how many ministerial interactions you've had where 21 ministers have been given a chance to speak and the minister is sitting and like a student making notes.
Never, sir.
But I enjoy my work, I enjoy listening to all of you, and my heart beats for some of the concerns that you point out. I have myself been an exporter in my young days. I started a small-scale unit as a first-generation entrepreneur when I was all of 17 years old. Even to get land from MIDC, this was near Mumbai, in Dombivli I got land from Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation. I don't have the record now, but I distinctly remember I had to make over 90 trips, 90 trips, first to identify the land. Land was lying vacant. Only to first get the list of lands lying vacant, then they'll hide the list, they'll not give us all the data. 1, 2, 3, 4, over 90 trips to MIDC office, if you know the topography of Mumbai, at Chakala in Andheri. It was like a second home. Just to get, starting from information up to executing the lease deed of 2,930 square meters of land. Not even an acre, less than an acre of land. Prime Minister Modi in the last 8.5 years has focused all the energies of the government of India to change the way of working, the mindset of government, to introduce ease of doing business, to introduce a non-confrontational and a friendly approach between government, the bureaucracy, the political establishment and all stakeholders. And today's interaction is a part of that new thinking, the new culture of working in the government, where you, as our customers, would you all agree they are our customers? Our king and queen, of course. I was going to comment when Akhil, you mentioned that 70% or 85% of your employees are women. Somebody said 70%. But this room doesn't have more than 3% women. So that means Tamil Nadu, all the entrepreneurs are holding all the reins by the men and you are making the women work for you. And I'm going to meet Bhabhi, that is your wife, and complain to her that next time Akhil will not be invited. She will be invited as the guest and she will have to speak on behalf of Akhil. I hope she's a director in your company. She is. She is also working. Ban Akhil from coming for any of my future interactions.
Allowed us to participate in the meeting. They are all working in the office.
No, but honestly, I think you all heard the Honorable Prime Minister on 15th August when he articulated the vision of a developed nation, the Panch Pran, the 5 commitments that he shared with the nation, in which he said that we should become a developed nation, we should remove this colonial mindset from our thinking, get back to our roots, have a united country, and work with a sense of duty. These are the 5 commitments that he made before the nation. And he made it on the back of 130 crore Indians working with a sense of duty to achieve this, to make India a developed nation. And then, if you recall, he added 2 other elements. And I'd urge you to, in Hindi they say, Govt baand lo. That means, I would urge you to absorb these 5 commitments and the 2 additional points as your basic fundamental principles on which we will all serve the country, serve our businesses, serve our families to make India a developed nation. The other 2 were Bhrashtachar Mukt Bharat, corruption free India, and respect and recognition for our Nari Shakti, for the women power, whose contribution very often we don't recognize. We realize it when Akhil or you give us this data. But they contribute to nation building equally as much as you or I or any of us do. And hats off to them for actually doing double duty. Their contribution to our families, to our homes, to our good upbringing of the children never gets captured in GDP numbers, but is responsible for the GDP number. And I would like to salute the women power of India for their contribution, because of which the country will grow, the country will remain a country of principles, of value system, of tradition, of culture, of heritage. They'll protect our heritage, they'll protect our family value systems, and also contribute by adding economic value to the nation. And looking at the enthusiasm that I've seen in the room here, while global growth is continuously going down, as my friend Annamalai just mentioned, projections of global growth are almost going into negative territory everywhere. India remains a bright spot. Similarly, in international trade, The last report says that world trade will grow instead of 3.5% estimated earlier by only 1%. But we are in our 75th year of independence, and I have the confidence and the courage of conviction on the back of all my friends in this room and my colleagues in government, my leaders of the export sector, on your strength, on my confidence in each one of you. I am confident that India in its 75th year of independence will do at least $750 billion worth of exports against a world growth of 1%. India will grow at 11%. And we'll have to be bold, we'll have to be ambitious. We can't set modest goals. We'll have to be audacious. You know, there's one very famous saying, which if some of you are comfortable with Hindi, it has a play of letters with Hindi. There's a famous sentence, big, hairy, audacious goals. B-H-A-G. B for big, H for hairy, A for audacious, and G, goals. In life, each one of us must have big goals, audacious goals. Be confident, think big, plan big, work big. But when you take those letters, B-H-A-G, in Hindi, it becomes bhag. Now, bhag in Hindi, same word, bhag, when pronounced differently, has two meanings. One is bhaglo. Actually, three now, with my friend here telling me. So let me give you the three meanings. One is bhag, like Milka Singh, the runner. Bhag, Milka, bhag, run to achieve these goals. That's one bhag. There's another bhaglo, participate, join the movement. Bhaglo, take part. That's how it translates. And there's a third way of saying the same word. Bhaglo. Run away. Where are all of you standing? Number one? Everybody?
Sir, number 1 and 2, sir.
That's right. Saktivel is absolutely right. Our duty is run and run together. Because when 130 crore Indians run, the nation will run 130 steps ahead. That is our participation. Bhago और सबके साथ भाग लो. Run together with all of us, with each other, with government. And I think it's equally relevant for all of us officials on the dais. We have to participate. Look at the spirit that Annamalai displayed. He said when Tamil Nadu is $1 trillion economy, he will celebrate with your chief minister jointly. We will all work together to achieve this. You will never find a leader of the BJP using abusive language or making political brownie points when it comes to national good. We have to all live together. This is cooperative, collaborative federalism. And when we all run together, when we all work together, there is no power on earth that can stop India from becoming a developed nation. Friends, some of the thoughts that you shared, I'll just try to give you a little feedback so you don't go back only with general comments but also with some specifics. the Honorable Commissioner, Principal Commissioner tells me, while the GST on freight is eligible for reimbursement or refund, ideally it should not be put. There was a GST circular which has expired recently. There has not been a meeting of the GST after that, but they are hoping to have a meeting soon. We will certainly request the GST Council to extend that exemption. But I would also urge you, since GST is not only the central government, it is all the union territories and states, 36 people together who take a decision.
So tomorrow CBSE chairman is calling for a meeting exclusively for the freight.
All right. So I would urge you to also talk to your respective state chief ministers and finance ministers to make sure that this becomes a part of agenda and it gets cleared. RODTEP, friends, cannot be compared with the incentive schemes of the past. We have, of course, lost the case in WTO also. It is under appeal, but we've lost the case, both on SEZ, on MEIS, all of these things. And personally, I've made my views known publicly on many occasions. No country in the world, no country, has developed if it has permanently remained on clutches. We want you to run. We don't want you to run a three-legged race. We want you to run with full power and full confidence. We want an Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant as well as confident Bharat. So I would respectfully submit that RODTEP is really only a reimbursement of any indirect taxes which are not a part of GST. If there are any anomalies while calculating it, then certainly you have to approach the Pillai committee, which is seized of the matter and is taking up several of these anomalies. I'm given to understand that so far one anomaly on marine is sought to be addressed, and we are hoping to finalize that anomaly. On other issues, we have yet to hear from Pillai committee, but please do put up your claims with data, because that's a data-based outcome that the RODTEP rate is. The classification is something you'll of course write into me and write into customs also, or to finance. We'll work and collectively see if it can be, if there is any possibility of, if the product is the same and the same inputs go into it. I think we'll have to put up to Pillai committee to recognize that, or to customs to see how the classification of products is taking place. Somebody talked about air cargo not being covered by ECGC. I have just got confirmation while we were doing the rest of the questioning. Or should I say grilling? You were almost grilling me. No, it was really enjoyable. Thank you. Air cargo is also eligible for ECGC cover. If you have any specific problem, please either inform the DC or any of my colleagues over here, or the additional DGFT is here, madam. Will you stand up and introduce yourself? So I hope you have invited everybody for lunch.
Yes, sir.
So at lunch, please tell her if you still any point remains, we'll take it forward. But I've made my notes, so don't worry, each one of them will be addressed. On the PLI2, it's still work in progress under consultation, but I'll see what we can do to address your suggestions on home textiles. Actually, I've brought it down to such a small level that if I try to dilute it more, the whole scheme may not collapse. But we'll see if we can add the type of machines you need, the stitching, instead of stitching the other machines. But I want a certain size and scale. When I can't be giving that to every small unit, it will be impossible to monitor. And please bear in mind, when we are working in government, we have to take a 360-degree view. Not that I am at all casting aspersions on any of you, but every time we come out with a well-meaning scheme, we suddenly have a few people who start thinking vicariously and start thinking, oh good, now we're going to get so much PLI, just set up a few machines. Many times they do all sorts of irregularities. I don't want to tell you, we all know it. I come from the private sector, so you know, Unfortunately for all of you, I seem to also have experienced all that is done on the other side of the table. And sometimes that's bad for you, that I know too much about what happens on the other side. And therefore we have to keep adding the caveats and the restrictions to try to make it as much free from any irregularities as possible. You see Tufts. Tufts has gone into such a mess because of a few companies misusing it. And the misuse was not small, it was big time. And now we are sitting and doing JITs and checking each machine. And even now, over 1,000 companies have not asked for JIT. Those who are from this textile, over 1,000 companies have still not asked for the joint inspection. What should I make out of it? Many machines don't have a serial number. No good machinery supplier supplies without a serial number. Where did it go? Many banks, you are saying, are not willing to certify. Every bank record in the last 15 years is computerized. And each one of us has an influence in our bank branch. Telling me today that you cannot get it certified, I will not buy that story. So we have to be extra cautious, and which is why I couldn't get the Tufts extension smoothly. We are trying, we are consulting with other ministries, but it's because of some of these irregularities. Remember, it's a few rotten fish who pollute the whole river or the whole ocean. Others have to suffer for those few fish. After all, in a whole cauldron, suppose you just put a little bit of poison, everybody will suffer, right? One can say afterwards, but it was only a little bit. But it went into the cauldron and everybody ate that same sambar with their idli. So unfortunate. And therefore I very often say it is the responsibility of leaders of industry to also become whistleblowers for people who are doing this type of irregular activities. For your own sake, not to trouble him, for your own good. Don't give anonymous complaints, they have no value. Industry, I speak to gem and jewelry very often. They complain they don't get bank loan, they don't get ECGC cover. I say, look, when those irregularities were happening, everybody, and they acknowledge it. They all acknowledge, we knew what was happening. We knew all the irregularities that were happening. But how could we complain against our own friends or our own members? And now today the whole industry is suffering because of a few bad elements. So I would appeal to all of you. Remember, if 1 or 2 shops in a street of 10 shops is cheating on taxes, not paying the GST, not paying his other regular taxes, don't join in and start doing the irregularity yourself, because the law will find its own way and come to you. Instead, expose him so that there is equal and fair competition amongst all stakeholders. That should be our approach. Same thing happened with organic. Somebody spoke about the list of organic certificates. Here he was, our agri exporter. If we had exposed them earlier and got rid of these companies, our Indian name, our brand name wouldn't have suffered. Remember, when anybody is cheating in a laboratory and giving a false certificate, one time you may be the beneficiary, but the country is suffering, ultimately you will suffer. We'll of course try to expand that list. I'll make sure that the APIDA looks it up. But I tell all my chartered accountant friends very often that when you certify or sign a document, it is the trust of maybe millions of people that is on that signature. Because on that trust that you have authenticated that document, that it's true and fair and represents the real picture, bankers may give money. Tomorrow that goes bad, lakhs of depositors will suffer. Tax authorities depend on that. If it is false, the poor people for whom that money is collected as a tax, the poor will suffer. And as they say, the wrath of the poor is the worst wrath to have, when anybody cheats the poor. So therefore, my appeal to all of you will be, wherever these type of wrongdoings are happening, if we become the people who don't allow it to happen, if you don't want to complain, at least warn him to stop it and ensure he stops it, so that there's equal and fair competition. And if anybody in government, if an official is doing wrong, please inform us. If I am doing wrong, please write to the Prime Minister. I am saying it publicly. If I am harassing any of you, if I am not doing my duty well, if I am doing any irregularity, it is your duty to inform my Prime Minister. Because he stands for an honest India, for a India which cares for 130 crore Indians. Somebody spoke about the cotton shipments, on where we had made it very clear that by October end, the fresh cotton stocks will come in. We don't want the farmers to suffer. Shipping concerns were there earlier, so we had extended it by 3 months. I don't think an extension now will be justified. The people have planned, and if you give me data, you won't be able to find 10 shipments which are already out well in time and got delayed because of shipping problem. I don't think you'll be able to give me 10 cases, but if you are, please send me those 10 cases. I suspect you won't be able to. You'll find that some shipment happened this week or last week. That is not acceptable. They should have planned their shipments better. There's another habit we have got into. That first let the deadlines pass, then start crying, there was this problem, that problem, whatnot. There is only one person, 2, 3, 4 people in this whole room wearing a mask. 5 people wearing a mask. तो अभी कोविड का भी बहाना मत दीजिए. Is that fair? Of course, world is in challenging times, the Ukraine-Russia issue, all of that is there. But we are business people. We knew it. It's not, the war has not started in September, it started in February. So, I think we'll all have to start being more practical in our demands and requests also. Finished leather, those who want to use it for export, they can still import it duty-free. Incidentally, I would urge all of you to study the MOOWR scheme, MOOWR. And if over lunch, if anybody is interested, please give them some information. It's a beautiful scheme. It finishes all the problems of SEZ. The problem that in SEZ, you have to pay duty on the finished good if you sell to domestic market. It is to protect domestic industry, because you have taken certain concessions, or you get concessions. You need a level playing field, therefore that rule was made. In MOOWR, you can bring whatever you want to import duty free and keep it in a bonded warehouse, in your own warehouse, in your factory. Whatever you use for export, keep the record, no duty. Whatever you use for domestic sales, pay duty on the input, on the raw material which you have imported. So no blockage of working capital, no problem of refund, and no problem of paying duty on the finished goods. Very good scheme Customs and Finance Ministry has taken out. My compliments to Nirmala Sitharamanji. Your own Nirmala Sitharamanji, she is the pride of the government, and your own sister from Tamil Nadu. Madurai and Tiruchi. And she fights for Tamil Nadu. I can tell you that if any of us even one day delays any work of Tamil Nadu, I'll receive a call from my sister Piyush, you've not done this. And as my eldest sister, I think she has come out with one of the finest schemes in MOOWR. Even Desh bill rests largely on the MOOWR scheme. And we are trying to ensure that we give an opportunity for people who want to get out of SEZ restrictions and move into MOOWR. That will help you to use the developer over there. It will help you to use all the extra place that you have. Of course, work from home is something which now the world has accepted. It has its advantages, brings down costs, gives competitive edge. I know developers have their concerns about it, but that's why we are trying to bring the Desh bill so that those properties can be put to other uses. If we don't do work from home, we will end up losing a lot of foreign investment, lot of scope for our IT sector to grow, lot of scope for our services from the smaller towns, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns. Those children who can get jobs working from home, they will lose an opportunity. Pre-shipment insurance can be considered, but the problem will be of misuse. Smart Alex will set up a unit in Dubai, get an order from there, cancel that order and make a insurance claim. I mean, I'm just telling you as my mind was working over there. So, maybe a little difficult. This China issue is a problem because they still not got out of COVID. I think their vaccine must have failed, or I don't know what's happening over there. We'll certainly get my mission to talk to them. But I would still recommend that if EIC, EIA, and you also please convey to our officials there, and I will also, when I get back, get EIC and EIA to work with our seafood industry and quickly put in the applications if possible by 31st October. Even if they have to run every weekday, every holiday, every weekend, 24 hours in shifts, but get all these applications done. MRA, these EU, UK and all are not very easy to get MRAs. I'm going to be fighting for MRAs in my negotiations, but I find a lot of restrictions, and then if anybody is creating a harassment to any of you through non-tariff barriers, please tell us. We will take reciprocal action. I will also put quality control orders and then stop their imports coming to India. So please inform us if any country is putting non-tariff barriers or harassing or restricting our exports from India. Good idea to have an eastern hub for chemicals. I will discuss with my petroleum minister, and I'll give you some good news soon, I hope. China has unlimited scope for auto components. Please do examine and explore that, try to get your goods in there. But the PLI is not for every industry. It's for selected sectors, which we are trying to promote to become champion sectors. Automobile, auto components are competitive on their own strength. And the auto component industry, I interact very often. Recently also I had interaction with them, and I attended ACMA's annual function also. So I don't think that I've heard this complaint from anybody in auto industry that auto components cannot compete without any PLI or any other scheme. Container costs has gone up in the COVID period across the world, but our exports were the highest with those high container costs. Because buyers also knew, and it was factored into the prices. I cannot control it, I cannot dictate. Now it has come down also quite significantly. IGCR extension, we'll have to have customs talk about it and inform them afterwards. And I will also see what I can do when I get back to Delhi. Most of the other things are pretty much general. Air cargo, I've said, is covered. Parboiled rice, I'm seized of that problem. Please sort it out quickly. I'm told 1,000 tons is lying at the customs, somebody had told me. Please take guidance from Delhi, DGFT, you and Food Ministry, Sudhanshu Pandey. Get it sorted out tomorrow itself. Aman, if required, tomorrow do a VC, have a VC done, sort this issue. And such small quantity we should not trouble, we should let that go, it will get spoiled in the customs otherwise. To him, please. Oldest industrial cluster, BIS goes on changing the norms. Girishan. Please tell my colleague who's standing, just stand up. What is the BIS problem? I'll get it solved tomorrow itself. At lunch you can tell him that. Whatever HSN clarification, BIS and customs should coordinate it. Desh we are working to try and finalize. And that will solve your domestic component problem. Use mover instead of SEZ. Rod tape for SEZ, Pillai committee has been asked to examine, but gradually it's going to become difficult to get any rod tape because you are importing goods, which is why you want EOU SEZ. Then the local component value add doesn't have any great significant indirect tax. Ice gate we are extending to SEZ, by the way. That integration is going on right now. SCOMET took some time, I will look it up, but it's normally interministerial. They are hesitant to allow easily these chemicals. Some of them are harmful for environment and all. So it does take a little time. I'll see if it can be speeded up, but I don't want to interfere because there can be environmental hazards and they have to do it very carefully. Ms. Bhargavi, the steel export duty was put in to save the country from further inflation. You know what steel prices were. Construction costs were going haywire. And if infra projects stopped, then the growth engine of India would have stopped. Inflation, very high inflation leads to interest rates going up, leads to inflationary pressures, which means the rupee depreciates. And then the entire growth momentum could have got badly affected. And people were rather exporting than allowing finished goods to get reasonable prices of input material. Therefore, that whole value chain had to be addressed. By adding value as auto components or other products, we can get 5 times, 8 times more value than the raw material. Therefore, that measure was necessary. We had appealed to the steel industry many times to be rational in their prices for our exporters, for our MSMEs. Sadly, they did not respond to the government's call, and our hand was forced to protect the larger sections of Indian industry, particularly MSME and our exporters. So these were, friends, I think I've covered most of the things. Other things are buyer, seller meet and all for agriculture. We are doing that, but I'll certainly see what more can be done. I can keep talking, that's what I'm in this job for, and I can keep talking and then maybe Saktiven will have to organize dinner for you. But I don't want to take that. I think it was a wonderful interaction. Thank you very much for being here. Nandri.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiration and leadership, which we are sure.
Dear exporters, I'm in this field for last 39 years as in APC and FIO, but I never seen any honorable minister allow 21 people to speak and noted down all the points and giving the solution that are there. Sir, it's a greatness of you, sir. We are really fortunate to have you here, and we are all the exporters think that you are the godfather of our exporters. Sir, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Habib Hussain, Regional Chairman, FIO Southern Region, to propose vote of thanks.
Respected Sri Piyush Goyalji, Shri Annamalai, sir, it is such a proud moment to be standing here, to be sitting on this dais listening to you speak. I'd like, with your permission, to have 2 more variations of Bagh with the H at the end. We live in a veritable Bagh, sir. It's a beautiful garden. That is our country, India, and it is guarded by a tiger, a Bagh. And you see, we have it's breathtaking, sir. All this 7% and 11%, all this does not come from wishful thinking. It comes from harnessing the winds of change, which you all have done, with real quick thinking processes and you know, these FTAs, the pace at which we are going there, the national logistics policy, integrating the private sector executives with bringing them into the trade policy, which you're doing now, digitization. In fact, you're doing digitalization and digitization almost in one leap. And the government today is probably more digitized than the private sector, the MSME. Yeah, of course, the infrastructure. You've broken down so many barriers, sir. Now it's up to us. We'll fulfill all the things that you have said of us. It's invigorating to listen to you. And I read somewhere, sir, that at one time, with our intellectual heritage and all that, we were 25% of the global GDP. So, God willing, sir, we will hit that in our centennial year, 25% of the global GDP. And so, for all this, we thank our Honorable Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, and you, sir, and the whole team. And it was so encouraging to hear